What is going down, YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and before we get into the video, one thing I want to tell you is, if you are just starting this game and you are under level 15, make sure you're using my promo code. Down in the description of my video is a link if you're just finding this channel for the first time. Click that link to download Dragon Champions on iOS or Android. Once you do that, click the cog setting, wrong way, right there above me. Click that cog setting. Inside the cog setting, you are going to see the use promo code. Make sure you're clicking on that. When you're in the promo code, type in XMG gift. Hit the OK button and get $10 worth of free stuff. So with that being said, my YouTube family, enjoy the free stuff. Help support the channel. I love y'all. Enjoy the video. What is going down, my YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and it is the first noob series in a long time. Telias, I believe is how we're gonna say it. And I switched up the noob series, tried to make it a little bit more clear, concise, quicker, things like that. And Telias is a elf rogue with a sniper rifle. I love it. I love his design. He's got like the ghillie suit. He is awesome. So the way this is going to work, I did all the testing for this character at gear 11 with 3 blue dot runes maxed out and artifact up to level 30. And that's how I did the testing. I took it into the Ember event. I paired him with elves, and that's how I did the testing. So the videos you're going to see, that's how he is runed. I did some testing with different runes, different compositions, different artifacts, and I'm going to go through them all. Normally, we would start with stats. We're not going to do that with Telias. We are going to jump into his move kit first so we understand what he is doing. Now, no tier 7s were brought into this. What happens at the gear 12 series does tier 7s, does all that other stuff, so we will wait until we see that. First move, Calibration Shot, basic ability, and this could be possibly one of the best basic abilities in the game. Absolutely love it. Deals 300% damage at level 6. Inflicts Mark of Death for 2 turns. Mark of Death, it allows you to like put a taunt up on somebody if the target, they can't go invisible. But the cool part with this is the damage inflicted is increased by 15%. So with this Calibration Shot, Mark of Death on your first basic ability is pretty crazy. I really like the way it works, and we'll when I do the overall and we talk about stats, we'll go into the Calibration Shot and his Mark of Death at that point in time. But right now, what we're seeing from Calibration Shot is we're seeing physical damage. He's a physical damage dealer. We're seeing potency, right? Potency, because you want that Mark of Death to stick. So that's kind of what we're seeing here from the first ability. And let's move on to the next. Bullseye is his next ability. Now this, again, is an amazing move, and I really like the way his move kit is set up. Deals 300% physical damage to an enemy. If the enemy is inflicted by Mark of Death, he takes 2 times more damage. And it's guaranteed a critical hit, but the Mark of Death is then removed. So you have to take that into consideration, and it can't be dodged. This move is just disgusting. So let's break it down a little bit. What are we seeing here? We are seeing the physical damage again at 300%, but it has that caveat of the Mark of Death. So, but you put that on his basic, you pair him with somebody like a Count Delman, extremely good, right? So, but we're also seeing you're guaranteed to land a critical hit. You have to keep that in mind. Crit damage is going to be extremely important for this guy. So, but you're getting a move that can't be dodged, that's guaranteed to get a critical hit if you have Mark of Death up. Really interesting mechanic, and can frankly really do some damage. Forest Shadow is the next ability here. He gains an invisibility and an accuracy increase, a debuff immunity, and a damage increase for 2 turns, and restores 20% of his turn meter. So we're seeing with turn meter manipulation, we know how important that is in turn-based games with the turn meter manipulation, and honestly that is really good. But we're seeing invisible. So take that invisibility and keep that in the back of your mind for a minute. We're going to hold on to that. An accuracy increase. Now he's already got a move that can't be dodged, but more accuracy is always good. Debuff immunity. Probably the best buff in the game. Really, really critical. I love the Forest Shadow. But then he gives himself a damage increase. He's a very selfish character, doesn't do anything else for the party. But giving himself a damage increase, which is something we saw pivotal for both moves, is his physical damage, is really good. Then he restores 20% of his turn meter. Now, the invisibility. Invisibility is nice. But he's not like a Thelane or a Kyra where he gets some... Or Thelane. A Wonder Lua, where he gets something for being invisible. He gets absolutely nothing. He gets no benefit from being invisible. He doesn't get more potency. He doesn't get anything. Except survivability. This move, as it might not be as flashy as Wonder Lua's or anything like that, this move allows you to not focus on keeping him alive forever. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Passive ability here is Sniper Specialist. Telias gains 40% crit strike damage, an additional 5% for each living elf in the party. Absolutely huge. He is a damage dealer. This is why he is here. That is his specialty. He really reminds me of Tubald from the dwarves, right? Tubald gives a little bit more to the dwarf faction than a Telias, but he just cranks the damage. So you're giving yourself 40% crit strike damage. This is awesome. This is great for his plug and play viability, as he's always going to get that 40% extra critical strike damage regardless of who you pair him with. Pairing him with elves just makes him that much better. Alright, so we went over his move kit. And in his move kit we saw damage. We saw how important it is for him to get that Mark of Death up. To me that equates to speed. We saw critical strike. And we saw crit strike damage. He's giving himself crit strike damage off his passive. So how does that equate to his stats? So here we are. We're starting with health. At gear 11, he has 20,745. That puts him at 67th in the game. There's like 82 characters, 83 characters now. Something like that. And he is 67th in the game. His health pool is not great, but that ties into his third ability where he can make himself become invisible. He can give himself debuff immunity. Huge. So that's why that invisibility move is so important. He does have a low health pool. Shield. His shield comes in a little bit better. 28th in the game at 25,967. So health and shield combination, right around 47,000. So he is a little bit squishy in these higher end. As we keep introducing characters, they become more and more survivable. But that, again, it goes back to that third ability with the fact he can make himself invisible. Overall, I'm not concerned after playtesting him quite a bit where he stands for his health and shield. Physical armor percent, very, very good. He has the low health and shield combination, but his physical armor is 18th in the game. 34.27. That's a very, very good physical armor. I like where that sits and increases his survivability. Magic armor percent, 28th in the game. Again, we're seeing something very, very good at 35.88. Normally, we see a physical armor really high and a magic armor really low, or we see a physical armor really, really low and a magic armor high. He's sitting right in the middle of both, so he's going to benefit greatly from that southeastern rune where you get the armor increase. He's going to have good multipliers off of that. So, looking really good in both physical and magic armor. Damage, super impressive right here. 4th in the game at 3,284. We already saw from his move kit, he's giving himself a damage increase. He's giving himself a critical strike increase on his passive. So, damage, really, really solid at 4th in the game. 3,284. His stats are lining up to be tremendous. The trend continues with critical chance. 30.24, 10th best in the game at gear 11. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Potency. Potency comes in at 34%, which puts him at 30th in the game, which is essentially just below half at gear 11. And that's okay, because the only move that requires potency is his basic with the Mark of Death. And when we go over stats and how I ruined him, I didn't have a problem with that sticking at all. So that is really not a detractor to me in his move kit or his stats. So potency comes in at a very, very usable 34%. Tenacity. Tenacity is low. 24% at 73rd in the game. But what are we seeing? When he gives himself the invisibility, he gives himself that buff immunity or debuff immunity. So fantastic that that's incorporated into his kit. You don't need to put a T7 on there to get it. So very, very beneficial with that super low tenacity. Speed, 144, tied for 14th in the game, which is about halfway down the list. But as a ranger, you know, that's kind of what we're used to as a ranger. We see that speed coming in like the 140s to 146 on the high end for them as a gear 11. So he's right in that range at 144. We can easily build upon that at gear 11 with 3-dot runes. We can make that work. So 144 is pretty much where I expect him to be, and that's where he sits. So what are we taking away from his stats? We talked about his move kit. We're taking away speed. He gives himself turn meter. You know, but we want to make that better. We want to make his crit chance better. We want to make his crit damage better. We want to improve his overall damage, and we want to sneak in potency. That's kind of how I look at him. You want to make sure when we go over runes that we have speed in every single rune. We want to make sure that we're focusing on that crit chance. We're putting that crit damage in that southern rune, regardless of what set you use for him. Make sure that you're giving that extra damage in there. And, you know, if you can find some with potency, great. You don't have to blow the northwestern rune on potency with this guy. Trust me, you don't need it. I've always had it stick. To me, there's only really one way to rune this guy, and that is a crit damage critical chance set. That is what they recommend, and to be truthfully honest, that's what you want. I did test him with a damage critical chance, but as I was doing more damage on a non-crit, I was critting very often. So you want to make sure that crit damage is high as possible, right? So crit damage, critical chance is how you want to rune this guy, and this is what I did. Northern Rune. I found a crit chance rune here with it gives me, it's all 3 dots, so it's a 3.4% damage increase. I got some critical chance in there. I got some shield. I got an 8 speed, and I got some health. So you're never going to get away from survivability in runes, but the major one was I got myself 1.23% more crit chance, and I got myself speed. Speed, again, is the number one thing you want in the substats. For that northeastern rune, I went speed. He gives himself an accuracy increase. Now, maybe for the tier 12 challenges or something like that, when it comes along, you're going to want to put an accuracy rune in there. But for now, I have the speed at 23. I put some armor in there, which is going to help out that already good armor he has. I got some flat damage, critical chance at 3 times, so I got myself another 3.66% crit chance and some shield. Southeastern. Okay, we got the armor at 6.8%, already on those great multipliers, which you normally don't see. I love this rune for him. I got some crit chance of 1.22, some flat damage at 22, 0.5% more on damage on top of that, and 8 speed. Great rune for him. We're benefiting a lot of what we've already talked about. Southern Rune. I went crit damage. I'm getting 27.3% more crit damage. I snuck in a little potency at 1.28%. I got some speed, health, and armor. Here, again, health and shield, you're going to get a little bit more benefit from the shield because it is a little higher on the percentage-wise, but for the southwestern rune, shield and health doesn't play into his move kit at all, so you're looking for the best substats. I got 7 speed, I got some more shield, I got some damage, and I got some crit chance. I'm okay with that. Then the Northwestern Rune. I went damage here. Now you could go potency if you're having problems with that, and I tested both, and I really felt that potency in the Northwestern Rune was kind of a waste. So I went with the damage, getting myself 3.4% more damage, and then I got some tenacity, which is nice. I mean, it's not going to be the end-all be-all, but throwing a little extra tenacity, I wasn't too upset about it. Got some more potency out of it, got 7 speed, and then 20 flat damage. So what did it do to his overall stats that we kind of already went over? Let's go check that out. So when we look at the stats here, the physical damage, right? We brought that up 332 up to 3616, so really happy with that. Critical chance, the artifact I have on him right now, we get an extra 6%, but I gave 15.15%, so we take off that 6%, I'm right around 45%. I'm well okay with where I sit there. Crit damage, huge, 57.3% more crit damage, so it's 207.3%. You will definitely see the difference in the hits. Health, we only brought up 398, so I'm okay with that. Physical armor, 2.15% to 36.42. Magic armor, 2.47% up to 38.35%. Shield, we brought up 5,251, bringing it to 31,218. Speed. We talked about him going fast. We easily got him over that 200 threshold with 59 speed with the primary in that northwest or northeastern rune, and then substats. Very happy there. Now potency. Potency, we have a 36.64%, and we only gave him an additional 2, and I have no problem with that Mark of Death landing. So we're fine there. Tenacity, we brought up 2.63%. So really happy. You can see here at gear 11 what 3-dot blue runes are going to do. And they're going to make this guy, as you saw in those clips as I was going over his move kit, his A2 ability is hitting for almost 90k. Right? 90k. Two Bald-esque. Consistently with this build on a basic, I'm hitting 18, 19k. crits on a basic. Absolutely huge, absolutely devastating. Artifacts. We're going to talk some artifacts. I've been asked to put this into my noob series over and over again. I reached out to Lizard Breath to see if I could get a full comprehensive list of artifacts so we can kind of judge them and see. But the way I look at my artifacts is I don't care what happens with the artifact. If I get something that I can benefit from, awesome. What I'm looking for is those stats. And I broke it down. What do I want this character to do? I want him to go fast, but we can't get speed off artifacts, right? I want crit chance, I want damage, and I want crit damage. So then I break down what I have based on those criterias, and I see which one kind of benefits me the most. We're going to check out some of the artifacts that I like for this champion. First one here is the Emperor's Crown. Now you're getting yourself damage and you're getting yourself armor. At the start of its turn, removes 1 debuff with a 30% chance. Now, he does give himself the debuff immunity, so that one, this one, the Emperor's Crown, is just a little bit lower on my list. Next one on the list is the Cup of Cheer. Now, you get critical damage and health off of that. And it's a flat health, so it's not based off your percentage, so it's pretty nice. So, landing 3 hits to a single target has a 30% chance to apply a damage increase. You're not getting anything off of that, but you're getting more crit damage, so the Cup of Cheer can definitely help you out to make him hit harder, to make him do what you want him to do. You might be saying, Zary, these are all epics. I don't have that many. So let's talk about the Gem of Riches. We're getting a damage increase and a tenacity increase. Damaging only one enemy restores shield to one ally equal to 6% of the damage dealt. 3 times a battle. He does some crazy damage on his basic. 6% off of that 90k would be really great to somebody's shield, so he can benefit that way because he is the main damage dealer. Rose of Hope is another blue artifact I like. You get crit damage and you get armor. Receiving damage equal to more than 70% of your maximum health applies invisibility for 1 turn. Now, this invisibility is nice because he's a squishier character, but you don't get anything like I talked about off of that invisibility but survivability. But again, the crit damage is so vital to this guy that it's not bad. My one green that I really like is the Mark of the Fray. 6% crit if you take it up to level 33 star, which would be extremely doable. Landing a critical hit restores 3% of maximum health. His maximum health really isn't that high, but you put in some runes, it's a little better. And it's once per turn. And what I like about this is the crit chance is huge. The armor is very, very nice. But at the same time, it's once per turn. Every time you go, his critical chance is going to be up there. And if you use that A2, you're always going to get a critical hit if they had that Mark of Death. So you're always going to restore max health. Now my two favorites, and I've tested them both out, is Bracelet of Distinction. You get damage, and then you get some tenacity. Landing a critical hit increases crit chance and crit damage by 1.2% twice per battle. So this is going to happen. So essentially after your first two crits, you're getting 2.4% more crit damage and crit chance. But why this one isn't my favorite is because of the damage there. Critical chance and crit damage are way more important for him. My favorite one is an epic. But you get critical chance and you get health. Survivability, fantastic. But landing a critical hit increases crit damage by 1.5%. 4 times a battle. So if you attack 4 times and you get 4 crits, right, you are getting an extra 6% crit damage. We're getting both things off of this Loot of Success that I really want to improve on in this character in one artifact. We're getting crit chance and we're getting crit damage in one artifact. This is a beautiful one. This is the one I found to do the best with. So we're going to talk some synergies. Synergies, what are some champions you can pair with this guy that really, really makes sense in my opinion? And there's a ton of them out there, but these are the ones when I was playtesting plug and play viability within the elves, the ones I really like the most to put with him. First one up is obviously Thelane. And the reason I like Thelane so much is because of her leadership. What are the two things we want to focus on? Crit chance, crit damage, and speed. So 3 if I could count. Increases crit chance of all allied elves by 30%. You're critting all the time with this guy under her lead. You don't crit nearly as much, obviously, because you're taking that 50% and you're turning it into 80%. And then you recover 20% of their turn meter upon landing a critical hit. Then you have a 50% chance to restore 1 turn to a random skill. Huge! I kind of think this goes without saying, but Count Delman, and it's because Count Delman can imply the Mark of Death, right? Now you can imply the Mark of Death on your basic, and you're saying, Zeri, it's going to be up all the time. But not necessarily. Not necessarily. Having somebody else who can apply Mark of Death so you can pump out that A2, and if you're under a Thelane lead and you're decreasing that cooldown of a random ability and it hits your A2, and then because your Mark of Death is taken off with that A2, he can put it back up so you can use that A2 again. Count Delman makes a lot of sense here, and it is a great synergy and a very obvious one. Last elf I'm going to talk about here is Sharp. Sharp benefits Telias very well because of his critical thinking. Gains a crit chance increase and an accuracy increase, and then he gives it to all allies. Right? For 2 turns. Great. And if you T7 this ability, that's where you get the accuracy. So sorry about that. I always forget on the test server. I got to switch it back. But Sharp is one to think about. Wonderlua can do some great damage, but just upping that crit chance even more. If you don't have that invisibility, you're giving yourself damage. Count Delman can give you crit damage increase, and then Sharp comes through with the critical chance increase. Next one on the list is Soleus, and Soleus, oldie but goodie, survivability issues, Soleus could do good. He's got his Amos Blessing, gives him tenacity increase, armor increase, another damage increase, cheat death, and haste for 2 turns. But what's really nice is his leadership. Say you don't have Thelane yet, but you got Soleus. Put him there. Both physical and magic damage of all allies increased by 25%, upping his damage. Crit chance of all allied elves increased by 5% for each living elf in the party. So even if it's just him, you're getting 5% more critical chance. Really makes sense, could really help out early on in the game. Next one up is Thanisa. Thanisa? Really? Well, yeah, think about it. Thenisa's third ability here, she does magic damage, inflicts 2 stacks of poison, and calls in 3 random allies. Not goblins, not clans, random allies. And then when you bump that up, say you take that up to level 8, it's all allies. So whenever level 8 mats come into the game, he's going to assist, putting up that mark of death. Another champion I really like with him is Uncle Ho. And Uncle Ho, because of his third ability, inflicts an accuracy decrease to all enemies, but then applies a crit damage increase to all enemies. Or all allies, I'm sorry, for 2 turns. More crit damage on this guy is great. The last one here I really like is Bordwin, and it's because of his A2 ability, right? He puts an armor decrease, AoE, increasing your overall damage. Even Zappy could fall in here. He actually runs really well with dwarves. If you put like a Soleus lead, I mean, he doesn't have a tank, but you put like a Zappy, a Bordwin, so you're putting out those armor decreases and then extending them. He just continues to build upon that, and it is really solid. So what are my overall stats about Telias? He is lights out amazing. I love this character. He's only available through that Sunday tournament, and I understand not a lot of people got a chance to unlock him. I love him. He is A tier for me. He can do insane amount of damage. The better runes you put on this guy and the more you up your artifact, those 90k A2 hits are going to be over 100,000. The only problem is he's single target. Sometimes if you don't have the best secondaries, he's not as effective because you want him to beat that initial taunter out, but it's not end of the world if he doesn't. Just use your A1, put up that mark of death, and then use your A2 and you can get rid of that tank a lot faster. But what's so cool about him is on that A1 ability, you can get around a taunter much quicker. Telias is absolutely amazing. He's going to be in this game for a while because of the amount of damage he does, and his kit and his stats are built so well. So he is a very good champion in my opinion, and I can't wait to see where he's going to be to farm, probably in 4 months, but whatever. And he can be used plug and play, he can be used in elves. He pretty much soloed the tier 7 event for Ember, so think about that. So with that being said, please let me know what you think about this new style of noob series. Did you like it better? Did you not like it? Did I miss anything that you want to see in here? So with that being said, I love y'all. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.